everyone, Xander here from Access Gaming Podcast, and this is a reply video to Ken16bit, and he was asking, what were your stories on some really bad trades? Now, I have a lot of stories when it comes to trading games, some good, some bad, some completely ugly, but you know, there's one story that really sticks in my head, that when I was a kid, I was like in 4th grade, and I know you guys have always had this kid either in your neighborhood or at school or, you know, either way. You always had this kid that always had the best stuff. He always got the system before everyone else. He always, you know, just had tons of games. Well, I had a kid in my 4th grade class named Matthew. And Matthew had everything. I'm talking about a Sega Nomad, you know, just about any system that you could think of, this kid had it. And you know, the kid was really nice. He was a really nice guy, and I was pretty good friends with him. And I remember one time we were playing basketball, and I was, you know, thinking about all sorts of video games and stuff like that. I think it was because he brought his Nomad to school that day. It was the first time I actually saw one. And I remember I had this epiphany. I had this idea. So while we're playing basketball, I simply asked Matthew, I'm like, hey man, so you got a lot of video games? And he was like, yeah man. He started telling me all these games he had. And I kind of had to interrupt him. And I'm like, do you have any games that you don't play anymore? You know, and it was one of those moments that probably only lasted 3 seconds. But to me, it felt like an hour because this was like a nail-biting question right here for my devious plan, I guess I could say. But anyway, he's like, yeah, I got some games I don't play anymore. So I was like, well, is it cool if I have them? I just asked just like that. I was like, could I have your games? And you know, I was expecting, you know, to him to go, no. But it was direct opposite. He was just like, sure, why not? So he just started bringing me Super Nintendo games at school. Like, you know, I was walking home with like 4 games in my book bag. And I'm talking about good games here. You know, I'm talking about like Legend of Zelda and, you know, Chrono Trigger and stuff like that. I mean, this kid was just giving me all these gems just because he got tired of playing them. And I think he just liked the company too. Now, all good things must come to an end, okay? I remember it was around the time I had probably accumulated around 20 Super Nintendo games from him, and you know, that was a lot of games for that time. That'd be like getting like 20 PS3 games. But I remember I was really sick and I didn't go to school. And I remember I was ironically playing Super Nintendo, and my mom got a phone call in the living room, and she calls me into the living room. I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? You know? It was my teacher. Apparently, Matthew's mom found out that he was giving me all these video games, and she was not really happy with it. And I had to give all the games back. And it was, you know, looking back at it, it was a good run. It was a good idea, and I had a good intentions, you know, I just want to play some games and stuff, and he didn't want them, so I was going to take them off his hands. But yeah, his mom was not too happy about that, and I remember Matthew felt really bad about it. He thought I wasn't even going to be his friend anymore, but you know, I was just like, it is what it is. I mean, I was very heartbroken that I had to give all these games back, but I knew it was something too good to be true. I just knew it, and you know, it was almost like I was just looking forward to either it going completely bad or to have all these games. So that was definitely one of my worst trading stories of all time. Now, I'm going to end this video with actually a good trading story. A trading story that, you know, I feel like I had the upper hand with. And, you know, to this day, I don't really trade games with people. I don't really do it too often. So I don't have a whole lot of stories. You know, I traded some at, you know, Babbage's or Funkoland back in the day, but I mean, I don't really do that anymore because of trading credit. I think it's completely worthless. But this was in 3rd grade. This was the year before the Matthew incident. There was this kid in my class, and we would always talk about Nintendo and video games and stuff. He was a really cool guy. And we were talking about trading games, and I mentioned a game that I had that was given to me by my grandparents, and honestly, it wasn't that bad of a game. I know it gets a lot of rap because it was a Bible game, and I know those are notorious for being really bad, but this one wasn't so bad after all.
Spiritual Warfare for the Nintendo. Now, this game borrowed a lot of elements from The Legend of Zelda. It was almost like a straight clone, and had some Bible trivia as well, and it actually wasn't that bad of a game.
So I traded Spiritual Warfare, and I got a game that I still have to this day, and I absolutely love it. It's right here, guys. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Manhattan Project. So guys, that's my reply video to Ken16bit, and I have to say it was a very enjoyable video to talk about, and definitely check out his channel. I'll put a link right here below so you guys can just check him out. He's got a really fun channel, and he seems to always come up with great videos to make responses to, so it was definitely a lot of fun talking about it. But anyway guys, thanks for the likes, thanks for the subscribes, and until then, happy gaming.